Hello, everyone. Fast recap here today. I will tell you about the film The Cobbler, where the main character turned into those whose shoes he put on. Max Simkin is a cobbler who inherited his shoe repair shop from his father, with the trade being passed down through 4 generations. One day, while stepping outside for some fresh air, he meets a young couple. Since Max has been working there for a long time, he often encounters local residents. The couple gets into a taxi and leaves. Max's neighbor Jimmy, who runs a barbershop nearby, teases him about staring at the girl and asks when he will find a partner himself. Not wanting to continue the conversation, Max goes back to work, where a woman named Carmen comes in. She is collecting signatures from property owners to prevent the redevelopment of their neighborhood, explaining to Max that developers might buy the properties and demolish them to build luxury homes. After listening to her, Max asks how much the developers might offer for his shop. To persuade Max to support her cause, Carmen takes him outside, showing the surroundings that might soon disappear. She encourages Max to sign the petition and invites him to a meeting of like-minded individuals that evening. She also hands him a flyer urging people to save Mr. Solomon, an old man living on Grand Street, who is being pressured by developers to leave his building so they can demolish it. The next day, a man named Leon comes into the shop. While polishing Leon's shoes, Max notices his expensive watch, and Leon proudly mentions that he has a collection of watches at home worth 3 times as much. After the polish, Leon hands Max a pair of shoes that need repair, insisting they be ready by evening, promising to return at 6 p.m. While replacing the soles, Max's sewing machine breaks down. Remembering an old machine in the back room that belonged to his father, Max decides to use it. While working, he loses track of time, and it's already 6 p.m. when his neighbor Jimmy invites him for a beer, but Max can't leave as he expects Leon any minute. Sitting and waiting for Leon, Max's attention falls on Leon's shoes. Out of curiosity, he tries them on and is shocked to see Leon's reflection in the mirror instead of his own, which frightens him. Quickly removing the shoes, Max sees his own reflection again. He decides to experiment further and tries on another pair of repaired shoes, but nothing happens. Realizing the old sewing machine might be the key, he repairs another pair of shoes with it. Putting them on, Max transforms into the old man who brought them in for repair. Experimenting further, Max transforms into various people who had brought their shoes to him, even once turning into a deceased old man. Noticing a pair of women's shoes, Max repairs them but turns into something resembling a woman with male features. When he tries on shoes belonging to an Asian man, he finds himself wandering around Chinatown, discovering he now has an Eastern accent. Packing a sports bag with repaired shoes, Max goes to a restaurant disguised as a black man. After eating, he goes to the restroom, removes his shoes, and turns back into himself, leaving the restaurant without paying. After wandering around, Max returns home and, in a conversation with his mother, learns she dreams of having dinner with his father, who left when Max was very young. Determined to fulfill her wish, Max retrieves his father's shoes from the closet. The next morning, a girl named Taryn, whom Max has a crush on, comes into the shop with her boyfriend Emiliano's shoes. After repairing them with the old sewing machine, Max, in Emiliano's guise, goes to a bar where a girl hits on him. Thinking he's Emiliano, she suggests they go to Max's place since her boyfriend is at her house. Max makes an excuse about living with his mother, and the girl kicks him out of the taxi. While walking around, Max encounters the real Emiliano and quickly removes the shoes. Deciding to visit Taryn, he enters her apartment, finding her in the shower. She invites him in, thinking he's her boyfriend. Max realizes he can't proceed without the shoes, so he leaves. The next morning, Carmen returns, needing more signatures for the petition. She asks Max to have his father sign too, but Max explains his father left the family long ago. Carmen empathizes, sharing she has lived without her father too. Sitting in his office, Carmen notices Max staring at her in the guise of a different person. When she invites him in, Max runs away. Returning to the shop, Max finally repairs his father's shoes and transforms into Abraham, his father. Going home, he promises his mother a dinner with her husband. Spending the evening with her in his father's guise, Max makes his mother happy before putting her to bed. Removing the shoes, he reverts to himself. The next morning, Max finds his mother has passed away in her sleep. A week after the funeral, Leon comes back for his shoes. Learning about Max's mother's death and his absence from work, Leon makes cruel remarks, pushing Max to his limit. Max follows Ludlow, changing his appearance by swapping shoes to avoid detection. Max witnesses Ludlow harassing small shop workers for money but continues to follow him home. When Ludlow leaves, Max sneaks into his apartment disguised as him and encounters Ludlow's girlfriend, Missy, who is packing to leave due to his abusive behavior. Max asks about the watches, but Missy, angry over her stolen money, insults him and leaves. While searching for the watch collection, Max finds a stash of weapons and accidentally knocks himself out with a taser. Regaining consciousness hours later, Max puts Ludlow's shoes back on, transforming into him again, but runs into the real Ludlow at the door. They fight, and Max subdues Ludlow with the taser. Ludlow wakes up tied and gagged, facing Max disguised as a teenager. Max demands to know where the watches are, explaining that he is not a bad person but needs to do something for his mother. Ludlow refuses, so Max changes his appearance again. Finally, he finds the watch collection, but is interrupted when Ludlow's accomplices knock on the door. Ludlow reveals they need to collect $50,000, prompting Max to impersonate him and take the money for himself. Wearing Ludlow's shoes, Max joins the accomplices, who mention making a stop to pick up a gift. They arrive at a garage where Ludlow's men are beating a man. Pretending to think of a different punishment, Max gets the man to apologize and orders his release. Max, still in Ludlow's guise, goes to a wealthy woman's home, who turns out to be Elaine, a slumlord. She gives him an envelope of money for property buyouts. Returning to Ludlow's apartment, Max changes his appearance, but Ludlow, now free, attacks him. During the struggle, Max accidentally kills Ludlow with high-heeled shoes, shocking him to the point that he flees, leaving the money and watches behind. He falls asleep on his couch, overwhelmed by the ordeal. The next day, Max, trying to be honest, goes to the police and confesses to accidentally killing Ludlow. He explains the bizarre circumstances, but when the police visit the crime scene, the body, evidence, and money are gone. They release Max. Back at the shop, Max finds the high heels mysteriously returned, along with the bag of shoes and money. Max, disguised, returns the money to Elaine, claiming Ludlow delivered it because he didn't want to work for her anymore. Displeased, Elaine has her men knock him out. Max wakes up in a car with two of her thugs. Changing his appearance to a dead man's, Max scares the thugs, causing a crash and allowing him to escape. The next day, Max meets Carmen and tells her everything about Elaine. He learns that Elaine owns the building Carmen is fighting to save and plans to burn it down with Mr. Solomon, its last resident, inside. Max asks Solomon's shoe size and disguises himself as him. He meets with Elaine, agreeing to leave if paid $100,000 in cash and given a bus ticket to Chicago. Elaine agrees. That night, Elaine's men come to collect Solomon. Max makes them remove their shoes at the door. While counting the money, he switches shoes and escapes. Carmen visits the real Mr. Solomon, who refuses to leave, and they record Elaine's threats on camera. A few days later, Max reads about Elaine's arrest in the newspaper. Carmen visits the shop, thanks him, and invites him to dinner, which he accepts. As Max leaves, he is kidnapped by men led by the person he saved from execution. Before they can leave, a truck crashes into their car. Max wakes up in Jimmy's barbershop, where he is given water and a cucumber, said to help with body transitions. Max asks how Jimmy knows this, and Jimmy reveals he is Max's father, who has been living in the Caribbean. Max is both relieved and angry, embracing his father. Jimmy shows him a vast collection of shoes he has gathered over the years, revealing he is also very wealthy. They drive through the city in a limousine. Subscribe and like this video if you want more videos. Goodbye.